Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm Ross Benjamin of RBWins.com. I'm joined, as always, by the man with the tan, Chip Chirimbus. Right now, he resides in Hollywood, Florida. Who knows where he's going to be next week? No consistency there, but one thing I do know is chipwins.com. That's his website, and that's what he does
Yep.
on a daily basis. And Chipper, how are you, my man?
Oh, I'm just delightful here. I have such a great ambiance of wonderful feelings here, Ross. I closed the season 3-0 on Sunday in the NCAA and came back with big winners the first 2 days of the ACC tournament and the Big East tournaments. So I'm rearing to go. You know, big games and big money are like our forte. I mean, I know you love this postseason as much as I do, and it started off on a great foot all the way 7-2 the last 9 releases. So I'm pretty happy about what's going on right now.
All right, turn it around. I know you were
Yeah.
struggling a bit, and as we both like to pick each other up, we know it's a matter of time when we're in those lulls that you'll bounce back, especially you, buddy. You know, you're
Oh,
been bouncing back for 40 years. You're like a rubber ball, a better
yeah.
looking rubber ball, that is. But anyway, I have done pretty good myself. I am 28-18 with my last 46 combined NBA college basketball picks. 17-10 with the last 27 as well. That's well over 60% on both of those streaks. And then in the NBA, which resumes tonight, again, we're taping on Wednesday, the 10th. The NBA resumes tonight with 2 games. I've gone 27-14 with my last 41 NBA picks. I'm ranked number 6 in the country in the NBA right now by the good people over at Sports Capping. And so we're doing well here, Chipper. Let's keep it rolling. Here's what we're
Yep.
going to do today, folks. I probably should have mentioned this earlier. We're going to be covering the early games or the early portion of the Thursday card in college basketball in conference tournament action, and specifically in the Big East, the Big 12, and the Big 10 and the SEC. So 4 power conferences, Chipper. Anyway, let's
It
get
doesn't get
right
any
to
better
it.
than that. That's what we want to do.
Boy, oh boy, for a second, I thought you were lost for words. And what's the world coming to? Anyway,
No, that's not going to happen.
Oklahoma State, number 12 in the country, is taking on number 10, West Virginia, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Boy, oh boy, good thing you're not on the West Coast, Chipper, during this tournament action, you know? Anyway, West Virginia right now is a 3-point favorite, and the total in this contest is 151. These teams met
Oh,
twice this year, and the road teams have won both matchups, Chip.
well, you know, 151 seems like a pretty strong number to me. You know, the last time out, these two played on Sunday, I believe it was. Oklahoma State beating West Virginia in their backyard in Morgantown. They were without their star player, but all conference Cade Cunningham, he was out. Will return today. But, you know, there is something I can use here, Ross. 3.5 seems like a strong number. My first instinct was that I like West Virginia, but I don't like laying that kind of number. But
Let
overall,
me
oh,
interject for 1 second, Chipper.
go ahead.
When you say strong number, explain to the folks what you mean by that.
I mean that these two teams at 18-8 and 18-6, with Oklahoma State having a better record, are pick 'em. They're 1 point difference between what is negligible, and it maybe should be a money line game. And you're giving West Virginia an opportunity to win by 1, 2, or 3 and not cover the spread. I think in that regard, it's strong because it's not just a 3-point shot, Ross. It's a 3-point shot plus to
Yeah.
cover that number. And you know, games go overtime. Got people miss free throws at the end. These two have played each other tough already this season. That's why when you said 151, I thought that was a high number, and
Yeah.
I did some research on it, believe it or not. Um, Oklahoma State's gone over 18 of the last 26. West Virginia's gone over 17-7. And Oklahoma State seems to go over when they know they're playing better teams with a winning percentage above 60%, 24-40 over. It's the way to go. At 20-8, the last 28 meetings. I won't have to worry about that being a strong number, 3.5 or a pick 'em. I'm just going to play the over in this game. I think the odds maker agrees with me. That 151 is telling you it's got to be a 76-75 game, and that's a high scoring game. So I think there'll be a few more points added to that.
Yeah, well, based on the regular season meetings, both matchups during the regular season went over the total.
Yep.
Oklahoma State winning one game 85-80, and West Virginia winning 87-84. So you had 165 scored in one game and 171 in the other. So it goes hand in hand to what you're saying. And
Well,
Oklahoma State's gone over the total in their last 5 games. So they come in on a high
well, you know
scoring.
what?
Go
You
ahead.
know what, Ross? Maybe the number's not 160 because it is a tournament time,
Yes.
and and they're going to play each other a little tighter. But it's like a boxer gets in the ring. He's got a strategy until he gets hit. Wait till this game starts. They'll be throwing him up like crazy.
Yeah, and it's especially you make a good point, Chip. I mean, I know when they play in big, not arenas, but stadiums, okay, where the
Yeah.
backdrop, the depth perception
Right.
is a
Right.
lot different. I don't know about you, but I take that into account when it comes to the total at that time. So
Well,
because if you not played basketball in your life, uh, you probably don't know what
I'll
I'm
tell you
talking
what.
about. But those out there have know that playing in a small gym where the wall is close to the basket or the crowd is close to the basket as compared to a stadium setting, it's a whole different animal when you're shooting a jump shot because it takes you time to adjust to the perception.
I agree. In high school, I could tell you that it would have changed my average from 2.1 points a game to at least 3.4 points a game. My depth perception was pretty tough at that time. No, but you're absolutely right. It's hard sometimes to pick up the basket, and I have played under those conditions, and the average is about right. Tell you the truth. Anyway, no, I think you're absolutely right about that. But are they going to have these wide open spaces here now? Everything seems to be blocked out or screened out now.
Yeah, yeah, which makes it a little easier. And I believe this is being played in the arena in Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'd have to double check that, but that's normally where they play the Big 12 tournament, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, you're also looking at Isaiah Likely getting back into the lineup for Oklahoma State. He's missed several games. He's one of those Swiss Army knives. You know what I mean? He averages 9.8 points per game, 6.9 rebounds per game, 3.7 assists per game, a little bit of everything, along with some good defense. And he's taken a back seat. This kid was a star for Oklahoma State the last 2 years, and he's willingly taken a back seat to Cade
Cunningham.
Cunningham. So a lot of good chemistry with Oklahoma State. And I tend to agree with you. This probably is going to play in the high scoring end of it. You know, I look at KenPom too. Both of these teams in the national rankings, they're 12 and 10. But in KenPom, which has a lot to do with analytics, they got Oklahoma State as number 36 and West Virginia at number 25. So in their eyes, both teams are overrated. And like I said, I trust KenPom a lot more than the Associated Press.
Yeah.
And I trust the lines makers a lot more than the Associated Press. So having
Absolutely.
said all that, let's get to our next game,
Okay.
which is going to be the Michigan State Spartans come in with a record of 15 and 11 against the Maryland Terrapins at 15 and 12, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time tip. And Maryland right now a 1.5 point favorite with a total of 131. You know, Chipper, right now I'm looking at Joe Lenardi's bracketology, and he has both of these teams as number 10 seeds, which means they're one of the final teams that he's got in the tournament that don't have to play the
Right.
play-in game. So this is a huge game for both teams, Chip.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it's a good thing they're not counting their point spread records because Michigan State's had a horrid season against the number and a pretty inconsistent year. You know, Ross, they're ranked as high as what, number 6 or number 5, and then they lose 5 or 6 in a row, and absolutely. I mean, they were getting blown out in these losses. They weren't even competitive point spread wise. And made a big comeback in the second half of the year. Closed the season against Maryland. Got absolutely crushed. The Terrapins boom out. We had that game as a winner on Sunday, a part of our 3-0 package. But Michigan State's a different team now. Here's a team that beat Illinois, beat Ohio State, and beat Michigan. I don't want to put any part of playing against them. The odds makers comes up with Maryland, the favorite here, 1.5. I don't see the Terrapins going off the favorite here. I really don't.
Yeah, I
And
was sort of surprised by that.
yeah. When I saw the game, I said, "Oh, I'm really looking forward to taking Michigan State here." And the number sort of threw me for a loop a little bit because I don't see any reason that Maryland, well, other than the fact that Maryland just beat them by, 18 points last Sunday. But, it seems strange to me that Michigan State wasn't the favorite. I think they're going to be the public sentiment. I think they're a more nationally renowned team, and people are going to look to gravitate toward the Spartans before Terrapin. So I think Michigan State's going to be the side in the public side, which scares me, which pushes me away from it. This I would have originally I would have liked the Michigan State. Maybe the best thing about it is
Chipper.
starting
Sometimes
before
the
it's up.
public wins, though. Sometimes the public wins. They don't always.
Yeah, and
Uh,
they'll probably be starting this game before I get up anyway. So
You're on the East Coast now, buddy. You're okay.
I know I'm only teasing. I'm only teasing.
Here's the thing too. These teams have been playing on the low side of the total lately. Maryland has gone under the total in their last 4. Michigan State under the total in their last 5 and 8 of their last 9, which is no surprise with a Tom Izzo coach team. The difference being is this isn't the offensive team we've seen from Michigan State in years past, and they're not as good defensively as they've been in years past. But the combination there, they're not terrible defensively by any stretch. They're in the top 25 in KenPom and defensive efficiency. So you might be looking at a low-scoring game here. Maryland drives me crazy, Chip. They lose to
Ross.
Penn State and Northwestern, and like you said, then they beat Michigan State. You can't figure this team out.
They had the lowest scoring average in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
At 64.5 points a game. So, this playing to the under probably plays right into the hands. And I can understand it. And Michigan State didn't have a guard or one of their key components return. And I think he's helped make this little turnaround for them with the Spartans.
Yeah.
I can't give you his name. You know me with names. The number good guy, but he's but he's back. And I think they're a better team with him in the lineup.
Well, a reason why Maryland, too, is the lowest scoring team in the Big Ten, or is that what you said? Lowest scoring team?
Yeah, 64.5 points. I came up with that for you.
Yeah. And, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're starting to finally get it after all these years. Maryland's number 324 out of 357 teams in terms of how fast they play. So they play at a snail's pace is what I'm trying to say. And sometimes it's not.
Terrapin.
There you go. But Chip, sometimes like the old Wisconsin teams, it's not so much about how they're locking down defensively. Sometimes your offensive tempo in which you play at, in this case being very slow and deliberate and methodical, dictates what you give up. And sometimes the numbers don't match. For example, a team might be giving up 65 points per game, but the opposition shooting 44% from the field for the season, which it doesn't equate. Usually when you get into that low 60s, you're holding teams to 40% or below. Anyway, I'm looking for that one to be a lower scoring affair. I'm going to have to see the money movement and see where that total goes, because it is a small total at 131 with all considered. Mississippi State and Kentucky, 2 teams that need to win out and win the SEC tournament to get in. And Kentucky 9-15 this year, overvalued all season, Chipper. Mississippi State 14-13. Kentucky right now a 2.5 point favorite. The total at 131. And what do you got here?
I think I have an overreaction by the odds makers, or maybe the public, making Kentucky a favorite because of their, they had a great shooting night. I think they beat South Carolina at 92-64 and just blew them out. But, the kind of character and the kind of, let's say, the type of player that the Wildcats seem to have, and that Calipari has alluded to all season long, they're liable to be running around with patting each other on the back right now, and the season's gone for them because they only covered 7 of 24 games going, for the season.
I was just looking at that.
They lost to them. They lost to Kentucky 78-73. And the problem here is the Bulldogs have only covered 2 of their last 10 with a push involved. And Lifetime, this is really great. Lifetime, these 2 in the series, you have Kentucky, of course, is 99-20, having dominated the Lifetime series between these 2 forever. But a double overtime loss to Kentucky earlier by Mississippi State. I'd lean toward Mississippi State here. I could see the Bulldogs biting the Wildcats here.
Yeah, this is another tough call. Yeah, that game was 61-61 at the end of regulation. So if you're looking at that final score and saying, well, why is the total only 131? Because it went two overtimes. Um, you gotta like you gotta like Mississippi State's chances here. Now, the only drawback here is what you just alluded to. UK has owned them of late, 5-0 straight up in ATS in the last five meetings, and this in Mississippi State also Chipper 3-2 straight up in their last five, covered 4-5. So they've been playing steady basketball. Where UK, Kentucky, I should say, they look like they were snapping out of it for a while, and then they fell off the cliff again. So anyway, let's get to the next game, which is Seton Hall and St. John's. 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time start. You still with us here, Chip?
Yeah, I am. I'm just a little annoyed about the Red Storm. They've taken me down the last couple of times out, and during the last game of the season, they beat this Pirate team. You probably had the winner in that one. I didn't. I had Seton Hall.
Seton Hall is minus 1.5 in this game, and the total's
Yeah,
one.
minus 1.5 at St. John's the last Sunday or whatever day it was when I got crushed. And here I am saying, how could they be favored at St. John's? St. John's playing so well. St. John's went out and just destroyed them. They really controlled the tempo and controlled the game. And Seton Hall, they've lost their last four. They haven't come close since 7 of the last 11.
They've been inconsistent all year.
I'm gonna get scalped by the Redmen. Oh, excuse me.
The Red Storm.
Yeah, the Storm
You're
doesn't
showing your
scalp me.
age now. Louis Carnesecca is no longer the coach there, Chip, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'm not so politically correct.
Anyway, St. John's, if you're looking for the team that's been more consistent down the stretch, St. John's is that team.
Yeah.
8-3 in their last 11. Seton Hall comes in, like Chip said, on a 3-game losing streak. Prior to that, they won 4 in a row. And prior to that, they lost 3 in a row. So this is a streaky type team that I have a hard time trusting. I thought this was a top 25 team. They were ranked in the top 25 early on, and they just faded down the stretch here. So I would have a hard time laying a 1.5 with Seton Hall. I would have a hard time laying the money line with Seton Hall in this contest. And these are two teams that Seton Hall likes to play at a slower tempo. St. John's, number 11 in the country in offensive tempo. So it's contrast the styles there, Chipper.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Let's get to the next game. And that would be what do we
best
got
bets.
covered? Huh?
It'll be our best bets because Texas Tech is a
Yes.
night game.
Yes. Okay. We covered all 4 games. Now it's our free pick segment. Thank you. I'm glad you're aboard, Chip. See, you keep me in line here. Anyway, what's your free pick for the
Well, you know, these early rounds, these play-in rounds, and these conference tournaments, sometimes you really get some bad basketball teams and bad basketball out there because you got the dregs of the conferences that are playing their way in and scraping. Kentucky being one of these teams that I'm thinking about, and like I said, I think they're a false favorite here, Ross. Coming off that big win, everyone's inflated and really good. But I think the Bulldogs may have a little motivation. Actually, they are a better basketball team, certainly a little more athletic. They've had difficulty winning and covering themselves. They lost to this team in double overtime. I think they get their measure of revenge here. Wildcats have dominated the series for years, but I like Mississippi State to win this game. And I don't even think I'll need the points, but I'd gladly take them.
Mississippi State plus 2.5 versus Kentucky. That game is tomorrow, and that starts at noon Eastern time in the SEC tournament. My selection, I pretty much covered what I'm going to take. My pick's going to be in that Seton Hall St. John's game, and I just like the way St. John's finished the season. They handled Seton Hall very easily the last time out. I think this is a matchup problem for Seton Hall. What I mean is that contrast the styles. Seton Hall has a hard time matching up against those higher tempo teams like St. John's. And I think the Red Storm are going to come away with a win here. So I'm going to go with St. John's plus the 1.5, Chip. I'll take the 1.5 if they want to give it to me against Seton Hall. And that game goes at 3:00 Eastern time in the Big East tournament. Once again, Chip Chirimbas has Mississippi State plus 2.5 over Kentucky on Thursday. And Ross Benjamin, yours truly, has St. John's plus 1.5 over Seton Hall. Chip, before we go, tell the folks how they could reach you, where they could find you, and how everything's going.
Thank you, Russ. Each and every day, it's either at the aplay.com. That's a little throwback action for you, or chipwins.com. It's actually the same site. Log on and you'll find out what the top 3 plays are in NCAA action. I am a national champion out of Las Vegas in college basketball playoff action. So log on, follow the buy links, become a winner. And even if you want to speak with me, my number is there, and I will answer the phone like you, Ross. We are a staff of one, so we'll pick it up and deal with you personally.
And I could reiterate those thoughts. rbwins.com is my website, and you can call me direct 781-571-0299. I accept all major credit cards. And like Chip, I am self-employed. I do not hire or work with any salespeople. So when you call, you're going to get me direct. No baloney, no sales pitch. It is what it is. Right now, like I said, 27-14, my last 41 in the NBA, number 6 in the country in the NBA right now. And also the college basketball, 28-18, my last 46 in basketball overall, including 17-10, my last 27. And Chip, my 10-star top plays in college basketball since 2017, as documented and monitored by Sports Capping. On a terrific run where my last 114 college basketball highest rated plays have hit 61% of the time. So it's no fluke when it's that big a sample size.
Ross, you're talking about a sample that's covering the part of 4 different college basketball teams. That's outrageous.
Yeah, because my highest rated plays, right, Chip, like you don't use more than one of them in a day in any
No.
particular sport. And sometimes, like yesterday, the last 2 days, I had 6 college basketball picks, and none of them were rated top plays. So
Right.
when you deal with me, the majority of the picks you're going to get is what I call 5-star. And then I ask you to bump up your pick by 50% on my 10-star plays. And if you've done that, you made a lot of money over the last 3 years in college basketball. Having said all that, Chipper, we'll be back tomorrow morning. We'll be taping live at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. We're going to be covering some college basketball conference tournament action for tomorrow night. And then Friday morning, we will return. Our tomorrow evening, we will return for the early action on Friday. And then the same rotation Friday night, we'll be covering Saturday. So a lot to look forward to. We're up in the ante here during March Madness. Next week, we're going to be having a NCAA tournament show early in the week, Chip. So be prepared for that. I might ask you for a future, and I know you don't like looking to the future. You just want to live in the present. But we're going to give out a futures pick, each one of us, possibly some picks to. I'll tell you why we don't like the futures, and Chip could touch upon this. You don't like. I don't like taking futures, Chip, because you feel like you're married to the team all year long or all tournament long, and then
Exactly.
you get a spot where you don't like them, and you refrain from using them because you gave out a future on this team. Agree?
I agree wholeheartedly. I really don't get involved in it at all. And
Yeah.
when even in the preseason, and when all the different websites we've worked with asked us to give a preview and give us selections, and in baseball, I would just list a team with no write up, and I'd always put Yankees, Mets, and that's it. I'm locked in. So I don't like doing it. Like you said, I don't like being committed to something where I'm coming in a situation and oh, you remember that, Chipper? You posted them to win it all. I says, well, they're getting beat tonight,
Yeah.
and what are you going to do?
Yeah, well, what happens if it gets down to an NCAA tournament final and your team's in it, and you are, after handicapping the game, saying there's no way they're going to cover this game in my mind, but I'm stuck with this team now. Well, when that happens, it's real easy to do. You just hedge. So if you get caught in that situation where you have a team to go all the way at 25-1, you're not going to have a hard time hedging against them in the final. As a matter of fact, if you don't, you're crazy. It comes down to that. So anyway, we'll do it for conversation's sake. Okay, Chip, next week.
Sure, I got a story for you once it starts too.
Okay,
So.
very good. Until the next time, I'm Ross Benjamin, and for Chip Chirimbas, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free to do so. Helps keep these videos alive. And give us a like. We're trying to make you happy. Make us happy. Hit the like button. God bless, folks. Good luck, and talk to you tomorrow.